Hi, I'm Cedric of artthings.com. We are testing today the Sony W950B LED TV. While this is the top of the line of Sony 1080p LED of 2014, the picture quality is worse than cheaper models, in most aspects. But before looking at this, let's do an overview of the design. The TV is built like a beast and feels premium. It is very heavy and made mostly out of metal. The build quality of cheaper Sony models is so-so, but this one is top-notch. The stand can be used in two positions. We use the close one, but if you have a wide table, you can put the stand at the extremities of the TV. The TV is built in a triangle. It is very thick. It has been a few years since we have seen a TV this thick. But the good thing of it is the better sound system. The speakers are pointing down, and due to the added space, the speaker can be bigger. The TV also includes a camera for Skype, but you can unplug it if you don't want it. As for the picture quality, this TV uses an IPS panel. For those who don't know what this means, there are practically two groups of LCD panels for TVs, IPS and VA. IPS panels have a contrast about 5 times lower than VA, which is why this Sony TV has poor blacks. The practically only upside to an IPS panel is the viewing angle, which we will get to a little bit later in this video. But if you have a dark room, you definitely need to stay away from those. The Samsung H7150 and Sony W800B both have a better picture quality. The W950B has a glossy finish which reflects an average amount of light. The glossy finish of the Samsung H7150 is definitely better. Even the semi-gloss finish of the cheaper W800B is better. At least, this TV can get very bright. But even in a bright room, we prefer the Samsung because it reflects less light. For example, you can't see behind our test window on the Sony, but you can on the Samsung. As for the motion blur, it is good. TVs in this price range are pretty much all the same for this. However, both Sony TVs have a special mode that reduces the motion blur without increasing the input lag. The downside of this is the darker screen and a little bit of flickers, but it is well worth it for video games. The Samsung also has that option, but it increased the input lag, so it isn't very practical for fast games. Speaking of input lag, the Sony W950B has the lowest that we ever recorded. Both Sony TVs' input lag are very low, and you won't really see the difference between them. The input lag on the Samsung isn't very noticeable either, but hardcore gamer would prefer to go for a Sony TV. As mentioned earlier, the biggest advantage of an IPS panel is the viewing angle. At about 20 degrees, VA panels lose saturation and the picture becomes white. The Sony W950B and the LG LB6300 keeps the original color better. Unfortunately, the black uniformity of the Sony W950B isn't very good. Its poor blacks really aggravate the uniformity issue. The gray uniformity is great on the other hand, up par to the Samsung H7150 and Sony W800B. Like nearly all TVs now, it has a smart interface with apps. It comes with two remotes, a touch one and a normal one. We will review the smart TV features in another video. I don't know why Sony went with an IPS panel for the top-of-the-line HD TV. The better viewing angle is nice, but the picture quality in front is worse compared to other TVs. The low input lag is also great, but cheaper Sony TVs also have low input lags. So, unless you explicitly want an IPS panel, don't buy this TV for the picture quality. If you are looking for a 55-inch, get the Sony W800B instead. For a 65-inch, get the Samsung H7150. Both TVs have a better picture quality in a dark and in a bright room than the Sony W950B LED TV. The link to our full review is in the description of this video, where you can find our complete test suite, compare this TV to others, and even see the price history of popular stores.